In this Matplotlib tutorial, I'm going to talk about line graphs. Line graphs in Matplotlib are fairly basic. They're a very common type of graph we see all the time. Alright, so let's take a look at how we can plot them in Matplotlib. So most importantly, we need our data first. So let me just type in some random data here. X can be all the way from 1 to 9. Okay, and for the y values we can just generate some random data. Okay, I'll import numpy as mp, then we'll just plot in some random data. Okay, so something like np.random.randint. The first parameter here is the lower range. Okay, this can be 0. The upper range can be 100, and the third parameter is the size, the number of values we want to generate. So I'm gonna go with 10, okay, because the number of values here and the number of values here have to match. Come to think of it, we only have like 9 values here, so let's add 0. Okay, now they're equal. And now all we need to do is plt.plot, pass in the x and y values, plt.show to display our graph, run our code now, and we have our plot. Okay, we have a nice randomly generated plot over here. Pretty cool, right? So that's all there was to it. Now obviously I'm not going to end the video right here, right? There's obviously more I have to say, and that's because most of the time we don't spend, we're not actually generating the plot most of the time. Most of the time we're actually customizing it. So generating a random plot is easy, okay, but customizing it, changing things about it, like its color, like the way the line is drawn, and changing all that kind of stuff, that's actually where most of our time goes. In other words, in the rest of this video, we're just going to be talking about how we can customize our Matplotlib line graph. Okay, so without any further ado, let's begin. First, we can plot in some titles and stuff. This is something you can do on any Matplotlib graph. Okay, so we'll say this is a line graph. Okay, and on the x-axis, what should we say on the x-axis? What should our x label be? I can't think of anything right now, so I'll just say x-axis. Okay, and we'll do the same for the y-axis. Okay, because this isn't real data, so this is just random data, right? Alright, so if I run this, we get our nice little graph over here. Okay, this is a line graph, x-axis labeled, y-axis labeled. Alright, cool. So the very first thing I want to show you, the very first customization, is changing the color. Okay, that's very common. By default, Matplotlib plots everything in blue, but if you want to change the color, just use the color parameter, and we can change the color just like that. Okay, super simple, right? So what else can we do? Well, let me show you one thing. First of all, why not try plotting a second plot? You can actually plot multiple line graphs on the same axis, okay, on the same subplot. All right, so all we need to do is to just do it like this. All right, now if I remove the color parameters from here, Matplotlib will automatically plot the second graph in a different color. Okay, so you can see here that it plots it in orange, but of course we can just override the colors, the default colors, either make them the same color if you want to, or give them different colors like red and green. Okay, so now we have red and green. Alright, so that's basically how we can change the color. Now let's take a look at some other stuff. One cool thing that we can do is actually modify the way the line is drawn, because currently it's just a smooth line, right? So we can actually change this behavior. So let's just remove our second plot here. We don't need that anymore. Okay, and let me just remove the color. Now let's focus on the line style. So the default style is the single dash line over here. We can pass in a double dash and make it a dashed line. Okay, it's made up of dashes. If I try to zoom in a bit, we can see that a bit better. Okay, it's made up of dashes, individual dashes. We can also pass in a semicolon and make it a dotted line. Okay, pretty cool, right? And we can also pass in a combination, sort of. We can pass in a dash and a dot, and we can make a line comprised of dashes and dots. Okay, and I'll have a full link to all the different colors, all the different line styles, and I'm about to show you one or two more things. I'll have a complete link to all these, tables, a whole list of tables where you can see all the different options available. I'll have a link to that in the description below, so you can go check that out. Okay, it's a link to my website. It has all this information. All right. So yeah, you can also pass in the color over here. Matplotlib has several short forms like R for red, G for green, B for blue, or like M for magenta. So you can pass that in here as well and change the color like so. It doesn't matter where you put the color. So you can pass it in at the start or pass it in at the end, and it's still gonna take effect. Okay. There's also C for cyan if you're interested in that. Okay. Alright, so one more thing I want to show you. There are three things that we can change. We can change the color, the line style, and the markers. I've shown you currently the color and the line style. I'm going to show you the marker now. One marker that we can use is the dot. Okay, if I run this, we get a bunch of dots. And that's because this actually converts our line plot into a bunch of dots. So right now we aren't seeing the line exactly, rather we're just seeing the dots where their actual points are. Okay, there's supposed to be a line from these dots, but that line is currently missing due to the line style that we picked. Okay, we can also change this to a comma. Did I pick the wrong one? Okay, I'm not sure about that. Let's pick O. Alright. And this gives us this. Alright. We can also pick something like D for diamond. And also, I think I'm making a slight mistake here. I think I should also be passing in the line styles along with the marker. So let me try that. If I pass in the dashed line with the diamonds, yes. Okay, this is good. So if I want to make the regular one, I can just do a dash and D. So we get the normal line, but with diamonds instead. Let's try that with the dot. Wait, we already tried that. Never mind. We can also try this with the O. Okay, and we'll get, yeah, this is pretty cool actually. This is pretty cool because we get those points which are clearly highlighted now, and we also get our line. This is a pretty cool version of the line graph. I like this one. So what else do we have? We also have the triangles. Okay, V, and this gives us this kind of graph. Okay, pretty interesting, right? So there's a whole bunch of different options like this, and we can customize them in almost any way. It's actually really cool how we can do that, because we can do stuff like pass in this dot, okay, and then we can pass in the D for diamond, then we can pass in the R for red, and look what we end up with. We end up with a red line that's dotted with diamonds for the markers. So it's a pretty cool form of customization that Matplotlib gives us, and this is a very useful it's a very useful thing. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something new today. There's a lot more Matplotlib content to discuss. There's a lot more things we have to share with you, like events and arrow props, labeling, proper key bindings, all that stuff. And obviously there's so many more plots and 3D plots to discuss. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you thought, and hopefully I'll get to see you guys in a later video. Bye then.